difficult for him. He was trying to play on the shoulder, but the fact that we sat so deep, there wasn't a lot of space for him in behind. They had that one, didn't they, in the first half where he almost got between the centre-backs. Other than that, he was feeding off scraps, really. Half chance with a header second half. So that's the one change. He's freshened it up at the top end of the pitch. I think the game down at their place earlier, Mason Clark might have played off the left-hand side and Haji Wright played through the middle.
Yes.
So he might look at changing that tonight, and obviously looked at that and maybe you're thinking, well, why didn't he go with that on Friday night if that worked for him in the league? Obviously a month or so back there, but yeah, that's the one change, top end of the pitch. And as we said, from a Sunderland point of view, the same 11 on the starting 11.
Before we look back at the game on Friday evening, I just want to let you know that there's loads of stuff planned inside the Bowl this evening. There's going to be a very special presentation and announcement at around 7:45. We'll try and bring you that when we can as well. There's also going to be some unseen fan display in the stands as well behind us, so lots of things happening. It looks like there's going to be fire around the pitch and all that kind of thing as well, so we'll keep you across all the action and all the moments, because we know that people are tuned in around the world watching us here. People can't get to the game. We've got fans in Japan have contacted me this week, North America, Australia, Singapore, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. So we'll try and bring you all the action, all the moments and all the atmosphere from the Stadium of Light this evening. Right, gents, let's look back at Friday evening's game, and Rob, I'll pass the microphone to you as well, so you and Danny can discuss the highlights from the game.
Thank you.
I'll start us off, Rob. I thought first 2-3 minutes on the clock, Coventry were out the blocks really. It was 2 or 3 corners, balls coming into the box, and we were a little bit of a mess back there. Anthony Patterson coming for that one, doesn't get there, but thankfully between Luke O'Neill and Trey Hume, they managed to scramble it clear.
That was a worrying moment early on. We knew Coventry were going to come out of the blocks early on, and that was their only real moment of danger. But as we see on this particular clip, throughout the game, with the 2 fast lads up front, we were a regular threat on the break, and eventually, although that particular shot from Elisa Mayenda just went wide, eventually we got the breakthrough with 2 really, really good goals.
Yeah, I think that was obviously the game plan set up, and you know you're going to have to soak it up. He brings Dan Ballard back in for a reason, maybe 1 or 2 raised eyebrows. Not personally for me, nothing against Chris Metton. I think he's been fantastic. But Dan Ballard, he's a monster back there. He heads everything that comes in. He's aggressive, and he was immense on Friday night.
I think Metton's been absolutely excellent all season. But to me, if you look at the best individual performance by a Sunderland player all season, the only performance to me that rivals Dan Ballard at Coventry the other night was Enzo Lefebvre at Middlesbrough. I thought he was that good.
No, he was, I agree, and I was thinking, we discussed it before the game, I was thinking maybe a 3-5-2 and playing all 3 of those centre-backs, but it was a big call for him. Obviously Chris would have been disappointed missing out, but that's football, you have to take it on the chin. Obviously come on, played his part as well, and he'll be waiting to get on again this evening. Similar with Chris Rigg as well, top end of the pitch. Chris has been a regular throughout, but obviously didn't get the nod on Friday night.
Well, the manager obviously gets paid to make the decisions, and they were big decisions to make, and he did make the decisions, and he was proved right. And the fact that you've got Mepham and Rigg on the bench, both of whom came off, my goodness, I wish we'd had that strength in depth throughout the season. We've been so troubled by injuries, but now we do have a very strong squad. And speaking of that strong squad, of course, that's added to by the fact we've got Romain Mundle on the bench tonight. Hopefully we won't need to use him, but if we do need to use him, what a great asset to add to what we've got.
I think he'll keep him there as long as he can. Depends how the game pans out, of course. And, if he gives us 20 minutes, half an hour, we'll see further down the line. But again, just looking at obviously the goal there with Wilson, the only thing that the concern would have been was how quick Coventry scored, because you try and keep their crowd quiet for another 5 minutes or so. Their crowd are out of it, but within a minute or so, Van Ewak does really well, doesn't he? Stands a lovely ball up, and Rodoni's on the move.
100%. That's Coventry's threat. They score a ridiculous number of headers. I think they've scored more headers, considerably more headers than anybody else in the division.
Yeah, they have. Yeah.
And they did do us with that. It's a great cross. It's a great header, and it's a good goal. But yes, a minute after we've scored, or a minute and a half after we've scored, as you know, you've done it, 200 times in your career. You get a goal, and the thing first thing you think of is don't concede immediately afterwards. Because we should have had the momentum, but then it was them with the momentum haven't got that. But here we are. I'll let you talk through this goal.
So to be fair, we soaked it up again since then, and then ball's dropped down. Van Ewak doesn't really deal with it in the first occasion, does he? Enzo's putting pressure on him there, and then he has a little look, doesn't he? But credit to Elisa Mayenda, he's on the move, he reads it, doesn't he? Keep us in no man's land. could have brought him down, dangles the leg.
The keeper, as you see, he's outside the box. If he brings him down there, he's probably going to get a yellow card because there's 2 defenders in close proximity.
Possibly,
and they could have got away with it. Fortunately, Elisa Mayenda did brilliantly and took it so far away from the goalkeeper. The goalkeeper didn't really have a chance to actually drop him.
And it's a good post finish after that, isn't it, as well? So, and I mean, we were probably at the stage where we were thinking, excellent from Joe, by the way. I think
that's superb.
He's done that all season, helping out, getting back in.
Superb. And you see his celebration afterwards. I don't know if we're going to see it, but it is as good as a goal. And as he gets up and he punches the air, he knows what a telling moment that is. And it just showed how it was all hands to the pump the other night. And again, that save from Ben Wilson from Mayenda later on was a better save than Patterson had to make all night for all Coventry's possessions. It was us that really created the chance.
Credit. And I think obviously what I was going to say there, we obviously jumped onto the chances as well, where the reaction from the boys, because it would have been easy then for the heads to go down and to get a little bit edgy and nervy, but they sat in, defended well, and obviously on the counter attack. Yes, it's a mistake from Van Evac there, but the lads have put pressure on him, and then obviously Mayenda's gambled and took it away with composure.
We need another mistake from Coventry tonight, and we need to force that mistake out of him. The crowd are well up for it, as we can all tell, and listeners will hear as the team's running out behind us while Danny and myself were talking. The team are going to be well up for it, the players are going to be well up for it, and we've got to make sure that if there's any mistakes in the game, we force them out of Coventry. And obviously, this is easier said than done, but we need our lads, young though they are, to show the sort of cool heads that they've managed to demonstrate in big games up to now. In all the big games we've played this season, against Sheffield United, against Leeds, against Burnley, and in the game against Coventry the other night, our most demanding games of the season have been some of our best performances. We need another one tonight, clearly.
I agree, and I think just again, how do we set up tonight? It's going to be interesting. I say first 10-15 minutes, because the crowd are going to be up, and you want to try and keep them on side as long as you can and keep it bubbling inside the stadium. And obviously, if Coventry are on the front foot and we're pegged back into our defensive third, it could go quiet in here. But they've got to stick with the players tonight. As you say, we've got generally a fairly young squad, as we know. We've got 1 or 2 experienced boys in there as well. But I'm going to take a leaf out of Rob's book this evening. Instead of taking my points on the road or my draw on the road, I'm taking a draw back here this evening.
well, I don't want to draw tonight. I want to be 3-0 up by half-time and 4 up on aggregate, so I can relax. However, if it comes to 10 or 11 o'clock tonight and we've gone through by 1 goal on aggregate, I haven't drawn tonight, I would take that now. But I look old enough anyway. I'm going to look considerably older by full time if we take it so close to the wire. Let's get a goal to the good tonight and 2 on aggregate, and then we still can't relax, but we can maybe just not be quite so anxious as some people in the crowd will be. Hopefully the players won't show that anxiety.
Well, maybe that anxiety, Rob, comes because Sunderland have been involved in a lot of playoff campaigns. They have a pretty good record at home. In fact, they've never lost a home leg in a playoff, if all stats are to be believed. But this evening's game presents new problems, as Rajesh would say as well. But a real opportunity for these players to go down in local folklore.
Absolutely. I think to some extent they're already putting themselves in local folklore. Lads like Job and Rigg, so young, teenagers, and until a week or so ago, Eliza Mayenda, another teenager. And yet people forget how young some of these lads are because they've got so many games under their belt. But yeah, big game. And in terms of our playoff record, in the modern playoffs since they started in the mid-80s, Sunderland have had 8 home games in the playoffs. We've won 7 of them. The one that we drew was against Newcastle, when we had a penalty saved in the last minute. It was a 0-0 draw, but then we went to Newcastle, and thanks to the G-force of Gates and Gabbiadini, we saw them off at St James's and went through. But yeah, fantastic home record. Let's not forget that Coventry have only ever had 2 away games in the playoffs, and they've won them both, so they've got a very good record as well, although only over 2 games, not 8.
Danny, what would the players have been doing since Friday night then? What do you think the schedule's been like for them?
Well, it's a quick turnaround, obviously. They probably watched the game last night as well, but from their point of view, back to the training ground, whether they were in Saturday, recovery, obviously swimming pools, ice baths, exercise bikes, getting the legs going again. The other boys a little top up out in the training pitch, little 5-a-side, rondos, keep them ticking over as well in case they're called upon, and then try and focus again, because you've done all your homework building up for the first game as well, and obviously you're playing them a couple of days later, so you maybe don't do as much sort of analysis in the meeting rooms on the opposition again. Again, you're looking at stats, maybe their away record. Some fans will do that. I just think you class this as a one-off. Their last 5 away games, they've lost 4 and drew 1, so it's not been great. But again, I think that's record. That's gone now. This is a cup final before a cup final, isn't it? Really. So
Yeah, completely agree. I mean, you've heard me say plenty of times, you know, that I look at the stats of the games. But to be perfectly honest, and I'm speaking obviously to Danny as a player, I'll be surprised if Danny doesn't agree with this. The stats interest people like me who write about football, and people who are interested in football read it. I don't think there's ever been a dressing room of any club at any level where they've thought before the game, oh, the stats show this or the stats show that in terms of the history of the club. It's about what those players do on the night or on the day, and it's up to our players tonight to write a little bit more history by coming out on the right side of the result, taking us to Wembley. If we get to Wembley, we'll think about that tomorrow morning. Long way to go before we can say we're in the final yet.
Yeah, a long way to go, and it's going to be an amazing night here on Wearside. For everyone joining us in and around the world here on SAFC Live, we can just try and explain what happened pre-game, can't we, chaps? Because there was a parade of sorts happening outside where the club let everyone know what time the team bus was going to arrive. And Rob, I haven't seen scenes like that from a Sunderland crowd before. Have you ever seen anything like that? Maybe not since the celebrations of 1973 or something?
No, well, look, let's get this right. The celebrations of 1973 were, another 10 levels up, but it was mega tonight. As I drove in about 2.5 hours ago, and I came past the Colliery Tavern on the corner, there was already thousands of people there, and flares going off there, and the streets were being lined there. Goodness knows what it was like by the time the team came in. I spoke to my brother a little while ago. My brother had been there just as the team came in, and he said, yeah, it was a fantastic welcome, and Coventry City got a very nice Wearside welcome as well.
Just listen to this crowd in here. They're up for it, aren't they, Rob? And I was talking to Jermain Defoe, who we're hoping to get on. He's right behind me. We're going to try and get him on in a minute. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for a break. But he said this crowd can make a difference as well.
Absolutely. Well, I see Jermain just behind me, so I'll skittle off and get Jermain on in a minute. But Jermain knows as well as anybody else. You score a goal in a big game here, and you are a hero forever. Yeah. And just to show, Jermain's been everywhere and done everything in football. And I can see him behind me. And what's he doing? He's filming in the crowd on his phone. It's that big a game where star players like Jermain Defoe, they want to soak in the atmosphere as well, and they're not even playing. Mind you, if we can get him registered, maybe you could be on the bench just in case we need him in the last 10 minutes.
Right, Rob, thanks so much for your time. We'll see you afterwards at some point. We're going to go a quick ad break, and then we'll go speak to Jermain Defoe, everyone. We'll speak to you soon. Welcome back to SAFC Live. We are delighted to be joined by Jermain Defoe here this evening. Jermain, how are you feeling?
A little bit nervous, but I'm looking forward to the game, of course. I think with the goal advantage, you have to be confident, especially here with these fans, the atmosphere. It'd be difficult for these Coventry players, to be fair, to play in this sort of atmosphere and that, but you have to be confident.
Yeah. Big crowd in here always makes a difference. You played in some big games. They can be the 12th man, right?
100%. And it makes a difference, to be fair, because I remember my time when I had to come here as a Tottenham player, and it was always a difficult place to come, always a hard game, but the crowd makes a big difference, to be honest. I hope they realise that, and I can imagine tonight, it's going to be electric. The magnitude of the game, the goal advantage. I'm confident.
Yeah, good.
I was going to say, obviously he's mentioned it, he played here thousands of times as well, like myself, but the derbies, obviously his goal, which I'm sure will get brought up over the next hour or two as well, with him being on with ourselves this evening.
I don't think Jermain will ever have to buy a drink.
No, probably not, no. But obviously I played in the one a few years prior to that when Kieran scored the free kick, remember when he smashed it against that atmosphere. And people say to me, what's the best atmosphere you've played in the ground? And I was on the halfway lane right behind him when he hit it. When I ran over, ears were popping, ridiculous noise in the stadium. And once it gets going in here, it's mad, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as players, you have to sort of like, when you get that experience as a player here, you really get it. But I mentioned before, with the game here against Chelsea, when I scored the winner, we won 3-2. That game was just like, it was crazy. And obviously
down that tunnel, didn't
mate, it was amazing. And obviously my volley there, obviously the massive game, to win the game is to score the goal, like I did. I remember I was crying coming down the tunnel because it was just something that takes over your body, so yeah.
So what do the lads need to do tonight? What should be their approach? And what do you think is going to be their approach?
Just play the game, not the occasion. I know sometimes it's easy when managers say that I'll play the game, not the occasion, but it's so hard to not get caught up in it because, like I said, it's a special football club and it's a Premier League football club, Everyone would be desperate for this club to be back into the Premier League where it should be. But stay relaxed. I keep saying the goal advantage is massive and stick to the game plan and just go out and execute it.
How would you go about it? Put your gaffer's hat on now. Obviously, Coventry on Friday night, we sat off a little bit in the 4-4-2 low block, soaked it up, tried to hit them on the counter-attack. First 10 minutes, would you approach it in the same way, or would you try and get after them, try and get the third, and then relax a little bit and keep
It's
the
a
ball?
funny one, because I've been thinking, right, what would you do? Would you press them to try and get the goal, and then not game over and that, but or would you sort of like be disciplined and play, manage the game? Do you really need to go and press? But I think pick your moments when you go and press. Don't go gung-ho, but I think set triggers. So there's certain ways that you go and press, not just go and press for the sake of pressing, because at the end of the day, we've got the goal advantage. We're not chasing the game. So I think, be disciplined and pick our moments to go and press. And then, like I said, once we get our chances, take your chances.
And the people who will get those chances, hopefully, will be Eliza Mayenda and Wilson Isidore, 2 stars, seemingly from nowhere, but they look really good players, don't they?
Yeah, of course, obviously, both names you mentioned there. But, listen, for me, it doesn't matter where the goals come from, how you win the game, but just win, or just not get beat. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be an unbelievable atmosphere. What an experience for these young players to experience. And like I said upstairs, to get over the line tonight, go to Wembley, and then do it there, because it's been a long time coming, and then have that experience playing for this football club in the Premier League is something so special.
Jermain, before you go, you've got some strong links here in the North East still with the Bradley Lowry Foundation, something you're very proud to be part of. Yeah,
even obviously it's well documented, obviously my love for the foundation and the family, and obviously Brad's, and that continues, still doing a lot of work for the foundation as a patriot, and that, it'll continue from forever, hopefully. So it's been good, some things are bigger than football, and something like that, it changed my life completely when all that happened. It was tough, of course, but it was a special time, meeting the family, and hopefully the work can continue.
Jermain, you're a legend in these parts. Thank you so much. Enjoy your evening here on Wearside, and we'll see you very soon. If you want to go and enjoy yourself.
So what's happening there?
Oh, well, this is the Guard of Honour, which you can go and watch. We'll get Kev to come and get you, and then we're still on air, but we'll catch you soon. Jermain Defoe there. We're just trying to orchestrate what's going to happen with Jermain pitch side, because there's going to be a Guard of Honour happening here in a moment. We're going to, if you'll stay with us, we'll try and bring you pictures of this, because this is a very special Guard of Honour happening just to our left-hand side. There's going to be an announcement made by the club, which has never happened before, and the players, loads of ex-players. Jermain will end up in there as well. Danny, you can't because you're busy working with us. So we'll keep you across that when it happens as well. But Jermain Defoe there, you know, a modern legend, and he scored some pretty big goals for Sunderland.
Yeah, he wasn't bad in his day, was he? Obviously, wherever he went, he knew where the back of the net was, as you said. As he got his boots in the back of the car, can he come on last 10 minutes and sneak us a winner? But no, fantastic, and he knows, as he said there, with that volley against Newcastle, what it means to play and obviously win in this stadium. And when it's bouncing in, it's some place to play football.
Yeah, the players are just going through their final warm-ups behind us as well, Danny. Will there just be normal preparations for them behind us?
Try to keep it as normal as you can, yeah. They know what's at stake, of course it is. As I said there's a lot of young lads in there, so you hope the occasion doesn't get the better of them. As I say, you do all your prep and you try and keep the game as normal as you can, but, you know, of course you're aware of what's at stake, and in a couple of weeks' time we could be down at Wembley up against Sheffield United for a place in the Premier League. Yeah.
Coventry players, do you think they've been intimidated by this, or they're preparing themselves not to be intimidated by it? That's the thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
The Coventry players, they'll try not to be affected by the atmosphere, Danny.
No, I think from there, and Frank Lampard, obviously bags of experience as a player, and obviously with his manager's hats on now, he'll try and keep them as calm and as focused as possible. And it's interesting, you know, we talked about how do we start the game this evening. Well, how do Coventry go about it this evening? Do they try and get out the blocks, get on the front foot, and then obviously try and quieten the crowd down, or do they sit in a little bit, look at set pieces maybe, because we know they're a threat from set pieces. So it's going to be an interesting one. It could be cagey early on. Ideally, from a neutral's point of view, you want to see a good gun-go game of football where both are going at it, hammer and tongue. But I don't think that'll be the case. No, I think we'll sit in. When you got those two up the top end of the pitch and the pace, drop a few balls in behind, and then try and force Coventry back a little bit.
So these fans are going to have to be patient then, aren't they, and stick with their side?
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, and as we say, whether we get a goal early on or whether it's later on, we don't have to score tonight. You know, if it stays 0-0, obviously we're through to Wembley. But at the same time, I said it early on there, our fans, 40-odd thousand Sunderland fans in here tonight, won't want to see us camped on the edge of our own box all evening. We've got to be brave, take the ball. Yes, we won the game the other night, but I thought we could have been better on turnovers, look after it a little bit more, get 4 or 5 passes in and try and get ourselves up the pitch a little bit more. We've got to do that this evening, be brave on the ball. You know, likes of Joe, young lads, but play beyond their years really. We've seen it with Chris Rigg as well at times when he gets on the pitch. So it's a night for some of the young lads to turn into men.
Let's give you the Sunderland 11 while we wait for this Guard of Honour to take place, and there's a very special announcement going to happen in a moment, but we'll keep you across that. There's players of all generations in the mix there, and they're all going to pay tribute to someone. We don't know who yet, but that's your Sunderland side as the crowd start to make their voices heard here at the Stadium of Light. Goosebumps, Danny Collins.
Yeah, go back to Wembley, that League One playoff final. We were pitchside in this situation. The noise, I mean, we're a yard apart like we are now. Could barely hear each other speak, could we? So that's what you want, and no, it's fantastic to see the Stadium of Light packed out once again. Listen, we're getting 40-odd thousand week in, week out for league games, but to see it packed again, and obviously 3,000 or so Coventry fans in the top tier, makes for a good evening.
Yeah, there's no way that these players cannot be affected by this atmosphere. There's your starting 11 for Sunderland. Jermain Mundle back on the bench. He could be the secret weapon tonight.
Yeah, it's good to have him back out there, isn't it? Obviously a natural winger out there, and Enzo, maybe we can look at tweaking it later on if one of the strikers, you know, runs out of steam, move him inside, and you've got Jermain to come on that left-hand side. So gives Regis and the coaching staff some options, doesn't it? And obviously you've got experience on the bench as well to come on like the other night with Chris Mepham on there to try and see the game through if that's the case later on as well.
Let's have a quick look at Coventry City. There's still lots of people down pitch side, including the owners now, as well as many players.
Yeah, just on that one as well, Sakamoto, I thought he come to life, didn't he, after about 20 minutes the other night, and got Dennis on that yellow card. Dennis actually handled him quite well after that, really, but he's got to be careful when they get the ball out to him. He looks to chop inside on that left foot and put balls into the box time and time again. So it's a good one for Dennis tonight to get tight to him, obviously try and come out on top.
Well, look at that. Some names and faces there. Some 73 legends. Oh, Marco looks like he's in Duran.
Doesn't he? Yeah. Shades up.
Mickey Gray is down there as well. Oh, Danny, if you want to go and jump in that line there, you're more than welcome. Go in. There's Amad Diallo.
They're all in the house.
He knows what it means to score in one of these games, doesn't he?
Well, he scored 1 or 2 worldies in his time at the club, didn't he? Yeah, fantastic. And obviously doing it at Manchester United as well, back out there, isn't he? From injury, and he's going to be some player.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic stuff. As we await this Guard of Honour. It's not for Ahmad, by the way, the Guard of Honour. Although it might look a little bit like it. So there's the owner, Kirill, Mr. Louis Dreyfus. And now the Sunderland players are about to go through their final warm-ups behind us here. There's Jermain Defoe. Close to see KLD. Gordon Armstrong you can see there as well in the shot. Everyone having a good laugh down there. There's Mickey Horswell. Yeah, fantastic scenes. The goalies are just going in from their warm-up. The Sunderland players are going in. Can you hear this atmosphere, everyone?
It's one or two boos for the Coventry players there as they come to applaud their fans in the top tier.
Yeah, the Coventry players getting the boo as they walk in as the first Lighthouse foghorn rings around the Stadium of Light. And then we'll cut to these scenes here. So what we're going to do is just let you know what's happening in the ground. There's a video on the screens here inside the Stadium of Light showing some famous footage from the 70s. And there's a guard of honour as well happening. Sunderland players, past, new and old. You can see the video on the screens there. It's depicting the famous save by Jimmy Montgomery. Jimmy kisses his medal on the video. You can't see the sun there, but it's those famous pictures of the 73 side. And it's a big round of applause. It's quite emotional, actually.
No, fantastic. As I say, good turnout there. Guard of honour makes its way onto the pitch as well for him. He's a great bloke, Jimmy. I've got to know him well over the last couple of years since obviously stepping into doing a bit of media work for the club and worked in his lounge for him on a few occasions. And good sense of humour. He's a great bloke, and there he comes.
Here he
now.
comes. Visibly emotional. Jimmy Montgomery. From here on in, the West Stand at the Stadium of Light will be known as the Jimmy Montgomery Stand. The first time this has ever happened in the club's history, Danny. Yeah. And it can only go to one person.
Yeah, rightly so. An absolute legend, isn't he? And you say, we've just seen that save there up on the big screens. And a fantastic bloke, as I say. Fantastic goalkeeper. And what a turnout for him. What an occasion.
Jimmy played more games than anyone else for Sunderland AFC. He's made a huge impact on football and a huge impact on the city of Sunderland. And the club bestow him one of the highest honours you can get in football. And that is for the first time in Sunderland's history to have a stand named after him. The Jimmy Montgomery Stand. What a moment for the man.
Fantastic, yeah, as you said, hairs up on your neck with the noise, but what a man, what a servant, what an ambassador for the football club. Fantastic human being, and rightly so, as you say, stand named after him.
Let's enjoy some of these images of Jimmy soaking it all up. Well-deserved, Jimmy Montgomery.
Yeah, well, he's seen it all as well, Jimmy. You can tell there he's getting emotional as well. A few words with Kirill.
Well,
and he'll be back up in his lounge in 10 minutes or so, won't he?
But he's working tonight. Yeah. He's actually working tonight. He's never stopped working. Greeted by David Bruce there. Going to do a quick interview with Jimmy on the pitch, Rory and Jimmy. Jimmy's addressing the crowd. Everyone is quiet except the Coventry fans, which you can understand as well, Danny. We can hear a pin drop everywhere else in the ground.
It's going to be a difficult evening for them to be heard, isn't it, this evening? So they're trying to get their chance going now. But as I say, with 40-odd thousand Sunderland fans in here, and right from kick-off, the lads will need them behind them this evening.
Visibly emotional. Jimmy Montgomery makes his way off the pitch here at the Stadium of Light. He's made his impression on football. He's more than made his impression on Sunderland AFC. He's a legend. There's England's number one, talking to Sunderland's all-time number one. Lovely moments. Lovely moments.
Yeah, a few in there, as I say, Jordan Pickford. Rob's joined him. Julio Arca's in there. All generations. Lee Howie.
Okay, we're going to come back very soon here. We'll see you soon. And it's match time. It's game time. It's the biggest game of the season for Sunderland. And it's an 8 o'clock kickoff. We'll see you soon.
Sport, it's not just a game. It's in your DNA. Like us, you live and breathe every moment. You dissect, navigate, and analyze. At SpreadX, we bring you a world of betting where flexibility and precision are at your fingertips. With real-time analysis across all devices, wherever you are. Enjoy sports betting that's data-driven.